He's Blake. I'm Ronnie. Members only. YouTube, Patreon. Nope, I don't like it. Mm-mm.
What do you don't like the members only, or
I don't like that opening. He's Blake. I'm Ronnie. Debut episode, Blake.
there was a pause when your hands right here.
The good, the bad, and the ugly. This is our new show where we are
It's Clint Eastwood all the time, every day, all day.
365 Clint Eastwood, spaghetti westerns. It never gets old. No, Blake, this is our new show for Patreon. And
hey, did I ever tell you I figured out why they call it spaghetti westerns? You asked me about that. God, it's probably during the audio podcast, and I looked it up, and it's because they were all filmed in Italy.
Well, what I'm saying is this is a condensed version of how we're going to review movies. So good, bad, and ugly, where me and Blake will talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. Welcome aboard. So it's racist, is what you're saying, because it's in Italy. It's got to be about damn spaghetti. I did with the spaghetti.
Well, think about it, Ronnie. That's why they signed on to do so many of those, because by doing those movies, you basically got a vacation for you and your family.
Really? Is that the reason they did all that? So they could take their all families over to Italy to film a movie?
That's why all those guys did all those movies, because that's where they were filmed. It was real cheap to film over there, and it was basically a 3 or 4 month vacation.
You know, I've only seen like one of those movies in my life.
It was a few months back. I went through a stage where I was like, I'm going to knock out all these Clint Eastwood classic westerns, and I only made it through like 2.
I think there's only 2, so you did it.
I did it. I'm a hero.
Unless one of them was not Unforgiven. That movie's great. Oh, what happened?
A tornado warning popped up on the phone. We're under a tornado warning until 11 p.m. Reset.
Boom. We're back. Tornado warning can't stop us, Blake. So, all jokes aside, we spent like 10 minutes talking about spaghetti westerns. Thank you, everybody watching this video. You're either a Patreon or you're a YouTube member. And this particular movie, Blake, Dawn of the Dead 1978, was requested by Darren.
Yeah.
So
thanks, Darren.
Go. Darren was one of the first 3 members to join up. And since he spent his hard-earned money, we're giving him. And supposedly it was supposed to be 2 other members, but now it's just going to be Jet. We're giving them the reviews that they asked for, and then they go back to the regular tiers.
Oh, we already had one back out.
Roll on highway, roll on along.
One rolled right out of our lives, Blake, but we're not going to talk about that right now. We're going to talk about 1978's Dawn of the Dead, and then I guess I need to go ahead and preface this. Guys, if you see me looking over here, I promise it's just to the notes on my phone. I don't have the notes on paper like I normally do. I am paying attention. It's going to be good for me to point out because I'll get a little bit of hate from people. Blake loves this movie a whole lot more than I love this movie. So Blake, take it away. Your first experiences with Dawn of the Dead, watching it, why you like it so much, and then we'll get into the actual show.
Well, I mean, just like every horror story I tell, Ronnie, I mean, you're pretty much the reason that I, had to watch horror growing up at such a young age. And you were infatuated with zombie movies, specifically Return of the Living Dead. You loved it. And I want to say it was that 7 to 10-year-old range that you introduced me to Dawn of the Dead. And I think the fact that it's not that scary is why I loved it so much, because I could sit down and watch it and not be now it is gory, but it's not really scary. And and you and I talk about this anytime we talk about zombie movies. The fact that it's slow walking zombies, I feel like I could survive in this apocalypse in this universe. Now with the zombies that run, like World War Z and the remake and all these new shows coming out, I would never make it. But Dawn of the Dead, the 1978 version, the slow walking zombies with the arms sticking straight out, I think I got a good chance to live a couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's always going to be the scum that gets you in that version. I'm like you, unless there's like a crowd of a million. I like my chances in a Dawn of the Dead situation with those slow moving zombies. Now, the problem I'll run into is right away I'll tear my knee out or something like that, and I'm dragging my fat A across the parking lot towards the mall, and they all just swarm me and eat me up. But I think you hit it on the head here. This movie is not scary. I think you watch it for the gore and the story. It always I always found it a hard time, even now at age 60 and looking up facts on a movie. I want to know exactly where this takes place in the George Romero universe. Night of the Living Dead was obviously in 68, and this comes out 10 years later. I wanted to know if it was supposed to be set during that same first 4 or 5 month time frame of what was going on, or is it just loosely connected? And all the research that I've read today, I didn't go really deep into it. It's like all of his Living Dead movies are just loosely connected, sort of in the same universe, the same story 3 times in a row, just different people. So, yeah. So, I mean,
it's a really good question. It's a really good question that I don't think people talk about enough is how are you supposed to view these and as far as time frame goes. But the thing about these movies, Ronnie, everyone who's ever seen these movies or these types of movies or these television shows now, everyone puts themselves in that situation and questions, would I make it and how would I do it? And whether anybody wants to admit it or not, they have a plan, they do. Like everybody has a mall plan or an island plan or something along those lines. So I think that's what makes these movies so much fun is the imagination, the thoughts that you have throughout it. Like, oh, I wouldn't have done that, or wow, I didn't think of doing that. That's a great idea. And you want to go right into the good, Ronnie?
Well, I mean, I was going to say one more thing, and then we will. What you just said is really brilliant in a way, because that mindset of how would I survive, I'm not sure people in 1978 were thinking about that. They just went to watch this movie and go, "Ooh, look, zombies, look, gore. This is a different type of movie."
You probably know better than me. Was this the first movie to use the term zombie?
I don't think so.
Or was the movie Zombie, I guess?
Well, the movie Zombie come after this.
Oh, it did? Okay. I thought it came out before this.
I don't know what the first movie to use the word zombie is, but
I don't believe they used it in the original. I think Peter Ken Foray or Foray says it in this.
Hey, Peter, man. Now, I just think we're all so desensitized that now immediately, instead of saying, "Oh God, there's zombies. What are we going to do?" We're like, "Of course there's zombies, and this is how I'm going to survive."
Yeah.
And I'll just go ahead and throw it out there to you. I'm not cocky enough to even say that I would survive the fast running zombies. I'm deader than hell immediately. They're going to get me. I'm dead. I'm eat up. The only way I could survive is if I got into a gun safe with about 500 MREs and I was by myself, and then I come out later like the dude at the end of Cabin Fever. Spoiler alert.
It's a good movie.
So, Blake, yes, we will roll right into the good right here, where we're going to discuss what we felt were the good parts of the movie. So go ahead and hit me with your first one, Blake.
Well, it goes right back off what I was saying. I think my number one good is their plan. We'll talk about the intro, Ronnie, how Peter and what's his name? The other cop, Peter and Roger, they abandoned their post in the army, I believe, and they meet up with a Flyboy who's part of a news, team, and they're just gonna they steal a chopper and they're just gonna go. They don't know where they're going.
Canada.
But they come across this mall in Ohio, Ronnie?
I think so, but I'm not really sure.
And Peter just says, it's perfect. If we can close it down and lock it up, we could stay there. And, this is in the 70s, and, it's kind of before my time, but this is when malls had everything. It wasn't just clothing stores. I mean, you had gun stores, you had ice rinks, you had places to eat, you had, I mean, just unlimited. I mean, so my first good is the plan. Hey, let's land on top of this mall. Let's check it out. If it's not good, we're out of here. But if it is good, we can lock this place down and we could stay here until this stuff ends. I mean, there's even a bank inside this mall, Ronnie. They're
No,
planning.
it's crazy.
They take all the money, and they're like, you never know, right? I mean, if the world fixes itself, they got what? Each got 20, 30, 40 grand of cash between them, which back in the 70s, good Lord.
Even now, good Lord. See, here's my question. If they had never saw that the parking lot was abandoned or just had a few zombies there and to make them want to land on top of the mall, they would have kept going. And would they all four have lived? Because, the plan was to get somewhere where there was people. And then they make that landing and they get in there. And like you said, Peter gets it in his head. Look, we can fortify this place. We can pick off the zombies. We can stay here. This could be a place where we could be safe till it all gets better. And, of course, it's a really good plan, but it's very dangerous with four people when only two of them can do stuff. So, I mean, I agree 100%. The plan was a really good plan. They fortified that place up. And if it wasn't for the humans, like I said, humans ruin everything. Idiots ruin everything. It doesn't matter what the plan is. There's always going to be an idiot out there to ruin it. That's a pretty good one. I like that one, Blake.
Well, we've already touched on it, Ronnie. The gore. I mean, the gore is something else. Now, watching it with 2023 eyes, you're like, eh. But personally, I think it's just because I grew up on it. I still think it holds up. I mean, one scene in particular is when, and I'm sure this will come up again on the bad, but a guy goes to check his blood pressure in the middle of this just crazy scene. And they tear him apart and leave his arm in there. And I mean, it gets made fun of. I like the different color zombies. I like the blue and green zombies. I love the orangish blood that's spewing out of everybody. Yeah, man, the gore is just Flyboy's scene in the elevator.
I know.
And listen, that's tough because Flyboy is a character I don't really like, and he's not very likable.
Nope.
He's not, and he doesn't really have a redeemable thing about him either. But
Nope.
for some reason, Ronnie, I'm still devastated when that elevator door opens and the zombies rush him. And if he would have just listened to Peter, the three of them would still be alive, and they'd probably be in the mall. They would have stayed in the mall after the bikers left. But
I mean, he got greedy. He got greedy.
He got greedy.
Territorial. This is ours.
Territorial. That's perfect.
We took it, and then he couldn't follow the plan, which I think that's the downfall of a bunch of these people. They couldn't follow the plan. I mean, Roger, is Roger gay?
I don't think Roger's gay. I just think he's keeping his options open.
At the very beginning of it, he's very, very sensitive towards that rookie SWAT member. It's okay. You're going to be okay. He's a liar too, because the guy got his effing head blew off. But I got those vibes from Roger. And anyway, like I said, Roger didn't stick to the plan. He started getting careless, of losing it because he felt safe in a way. I think he thought, we've beaten these guys. Now I can just run around here and act like anything. Nothing can happen to me. And that's how he gets bit and turned. So you just had a lot of reactions from some of these characters that I was like, man, what is going on here? Like at the end of it, when Peter's thinking about committing suicide, and then all of a sudden he waits till they all get in there and changes his mind. I mean, I would have changed my mind immediately. No, I'm not killing myself. Get your tail up that ladder. Let's go. But I'm back to what you were originally talking about, Flyboy. I don't think he had a redeeming moment throughout the whole movie. He starts as sort of a jerk, being a jerk to Fran. It's almost like Fran doesn't really love him. She doesn't take his wedding proposal, tells him no. She's pregnant by him, though. I think he feels less than a man because he's around Peter and Roger and they can shoot and fight and all that. And he can barely hit the broadside of a barn with a shotgun. And there at the end, he screws it up and the bikers get him and then the zombies get him. And then he screws it up even more as a zombie because he leads them to the secret hideout.
Yeah.
So, for some reason, I thought Fran shot him in the head, and I had the whole argument planned out. She never loved him. That's the reason she shot him in the head. She was glad to shoot him in the head, but no, it was Peter that did that. But I agree. There is something about, I think it's because there's 4 central characters, and even if you don't like them, you still get attached to them over the 3 days that it takes to watch this movie, and you're sad to see them go because overall, whether it's a good character or a bad character, you still want to see them make it because they've made it that far, if that makes sense.
Yeah. My final good, Ronnie, is Joseph Pilato's appearance in this movie.
Joseph Pilato, help me.
Okay, so yours and Darren's favorite zombie movie, Day of the Dead.
It's not my favorite zombie movie.
That's what you say all the time.
No.
Day of the Dead, main character Rhodes, he's in the beginning of this movie. Him and his fake cops are going to an island and they're looking for cigarettes, but Rhodes having an appearance in this, a lot of people online speculate that he's the same exact character.
And he's not really an army guy. He's a fake army guy when he gets there.
Fake. I believe that Rhodes is a fake army guy, just like the 2 guys he was with were fake cops. And I think it was obvious that those guys were fake cops. The way they were acting and looking at each other, and they were like, "Yeah, we're cops."
That one goof. You got cigarettes?
Yeah, chewing the gum and loading stuff into the boat. They think about stealing the helicopter, and then they're like, "We can't fly if something happens to him." So they were thinking, a little ahead. But I love the idea that in this universe, this is Rhodes' early start. And maybe they go to an island and they stay there for 6-8 months and it doesn't work out. And then they go back to, where is it? Tampa in Day of the Dead? Is it Tampa, Florida? Orlando, Florida? Something like that?
In Florida. Kissimmee, Florida.
Kissimmee, Florida.
When I saw him, I don't know the actor's name, but I was like, hey, there's Rhodes. That's the first time I've noticed him in this movie, but I thought that all played out so cool, Blake, because that could have ended like very horribly with them coming up on that scene where obviously they just killed that guy. And instead, cooler heads prevail, especially when Roger and Peter pull up and they're like, hey, you guys are policemen. You know that. Let's go. So they all, just parted ways and said, okay, good luck out there, with the world. The last thing we need to be doing is shooting each other. And those idiots were going to find an island. What island? Any island. So it showed that everybody did have a plan. And I really liked that scene. I like what they did with that scene, and it showed just how smart the characters were with Roger and Peter deciding, hey, we're getting out of this SWAT crap, and those other guys just trying to get somewhere. So,
what do you think of the island idea, Ronnie?
I think it's a solid idea if there's a source of food and water on the actual island. If you're going to an island that's just an island, it doesn't have any source of food or water or shelter, I don't like it at all. But if you tie it into like the movie Zombie, these son of a guns are going into the water and walking on the bottom of the water and then walking up on the bank eventually. So I don't think, unless you have it fortified, like the guy like Ron Swanson in Last of Us, if you build a wall around your island, I don't think you're still safe. But I mean, for that moment in time that they're at, where this thing is just freshly happening, I think it's not a bad idea, but they're liable to go to an island where the outbreak is already started. And then you still have an opportunity to pick each of them off like they did with the mall. Like I said, it all depends on resources and what they can get.
Yeah. Hey, while you're doing that, what's your thoughts on this poster? Specifically that zombie with half his face covered in blood.
I think it's pretty cool, but it's crazy to think that this dude is the one that made the poster when he's like literally in this movie for like 20 seconds. He comes storming in after those little kids attack Peter, and then Peter has to shoot little kids, and then this guy comes stumbling in. I think Flyboy shoots at him.
Yeah, Flyboy shoots at everyone, Ronnie.
And then Roger has to blast him. But
do you wish they would have used the Frankenstein zombie that got his head cut off by the helicopter?
Dude, Frankenstein zombie's the best zombie in this movie. When you just pause it and look at that head, what an idiot. He climbed up on the box and it got the top of his head and he just falls off.
That's something else that Dawn of the Dead did that a lot of other zombie movies don't, is these zombies can climb. Right?
Yeah, they were going up the ladder and the step ladder and the wall ladder there at the end of the movie. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And turning and opening doors.
So I guess let me ask you this. Would you prefer running zombies that all they can do is run, or the slow moving zombies like this one that can climb and pick up rocks and break windows?
I prefer the slow moving zombies.
Yeah. I think everybody will every time.
Blake, my first good is the atmosphere of this movie. I love the way this movie starts off, where I think it's stupid. Listen, hear me out though, that all these people are still in a television studio and they're arguing, and you have these two people. It's like any of these ESPN shows that you see today. It's like George Romero was giving us a preview of what all of our news shows will look like today, with two talking heads arguing back and forth. But this one guy is telling everybody the truth, that we've got to kill and burn these things. These are not your relatives anymore. Meanwhile, you got the crew and everybody else screaming at him. You got people walking behind him, giving him the bunny ears. And it's just random chaos. And you know me.
I do.
The best things I love about these types of Armageddon movies is hearing the TV and the radio broadcast. And it just gave a sense of panic and hopelessness, because everybody's fighting everybody. You can tell everybody's exhausted. There's still, the stupidest line out of this opening scene was, why did you cut some of the shelters? And she goes, we don't know if they're still there. I don't care. We need eyes on this television station. And as long as we got all these shelters up, there are going to be more eyes on this television station. Really stupid? You're worried about ratings? The world is ending, and you're worried about ratings. I mean,
I don't think they realize that yet, Ronnie. I mean, and you're always going to have those workaholic bosses and managers who are like, stay at work. You know, whatever's happening outside, I'm not worried about it. It's going to pass over, but we have got to keep this up and running. And you got the smart and sensible people. I mean, the cameraman looks at Flyboy and Fran because he hears their plan. He's like, go ahead and go out the back. You know, he goes, we're going to be shutting down soon anyway. Y'all go ahead and go.
Yeah.
So because they are stealing a company helicopter, you know, but yeah, a few people get it. Like, the world's ending. We got to come up with a plan, like Val and Earl and Tremors. And,
yes.
But the rest of these people are just trying to, you know, they robbing the snack machine. I mean, it's ignorant.
That's what the damn bikers did at the end of it. What was their plan? They just come in there and trash the place. They were stealing money. They were stealing jewelry. They were taking TVs. They were just bashing stuff. Idiots, man. Idiots. I agree with you. You already talked about the gore. I think the gore and the blood at the very beginning of it, when they're in, when the SWAT team has to go into this apartment building, and that one guy wanders out and bites the neck and arm of that woman that was a family member. That was some serious gore. And then towards the end of the movie, we got Guts getting beat by multiple people. So a really good movie as far as gore and top-notch Tom Savini stuff. The next one, my next good, is the cop at the apartment building, the fat cop. He's the hero we need in this situation, not the hero we deserve. He is killing everybody. He doesn't care if it's a zombie or what. He's shooting. He's kicking doors in. He's just blasting. And when Roger actually tries to fight him, the guy was actually kicking the door in on a room where zombies needed to be killed. And him fighting with Roger allowed one of the zombies to get out and kill that poor lady. So this is a real hero. He's G.I. Joe. He should have been over this SWAT team. And in all seriousness, he is what happens when the local police department has to play army. The SWAT team has had to kill both zombies and real people, because they make it clear right away that the reason the SWAT team has to go in here is because the family members of the people that are dead are like just hoarding them. They're not giving them out to the military to burn and kill. They think they can be saved. So this is like a crash course in psychoanalysis 101. These people just are going crazy because of the job they're having to do. And he went completely overboard. And you find out later that Roger was like he was teetering back and forth from going overboard, and Peter at the end of it, what they've had to do and what they've had to leave behind, it has messed with them psychologically. So people are going crazy just trying to preserve the peace. And the beginning of the movie did a great job of showing you that everybody's stressed. You know, the world's teetering on the brink and it's probably not going to recover. So that was my goods right there. Let's move on to the bad.
They recycled that, the whole saving the dead because maybe they can be fixed. They recycled that, Ronnie, with the Herschel character in season 2 of The Walking Dead. He was keeping zombies locked up and family members in the barn. So I thought that was very, very interesting. I mean, you always, we as viewers, we know the end result. So we always immediately like that character's an idiot. But just thinking of it like out loud, talking about it with you, it does make that person kind of sympathetic. Like they still believe good things can happen and will happen,
Yep.
I mean, and let's be honest, Ronnie. I mean, I'm not to paint a horrible situation, but if our family members, if that happens to them, do we immediately put them down, or do we lock them in the laundry room thinking that there's going to be a way to help them?
They'll come up with a cure.
There you go.
You're absolutely right. Robert Kirkman took a lot of his inspiration from the Dawn of the Dead, and the George Romero movies. Most of the villains in his comic book looked exactly like the villains from the Romero movies. I mean, the governor was Tom Savini, drawn to a T. So it doesn't surprise me to see any of these scenarios pop back up in The Walking Dead like they did later on. Now let's move on to your bad, Blake.
Well, you're not going to like this, but my bad is the racist, homophobic cop from the beginning that you have in your good. Yeah, and you kind of persuaded me a little bit because I was about to come on here and say, I don't understand how you can lose your mind instantly, but you saying that who knows how many times that they've raided a building and shot innocent people and shot zombies. Who knows what they've seen these last 2 or 3 weeks that it's been happening. I just assumed this was night 1 or night 2, and the reason he's in my bad is because of what he's actually saying. I mean, he's mad. He's not mad at these people because they're zombies. He's mad at them for the color of their skin and the fact that they live in a nicer place than him. So that's why he's opening fire on everyone. So, yeah, I got to put him in the bad, Ronnie, even though he's got some memorable one-liners. You never want to change a classic. You never want to be Monday morning quarterback and rewrite. But I think, Ronnie, I would have had that guy live and then him show up at the end as part of that biker gang to get his. I think I would have done something along those lines. What do you think about that idea? Or is that too much?
I mean, it's not a bad idea. I like him getting shot in the moment because it shows you who the good guys are. I mean, the way the character of Peter is in this movie, there's multiple times where if you didn't see how heroic he was at the very beginning, you could be thinking, oh, this guy may be shady. So I think that was needed. I think him dying at the beginning was needed. For one, to show just how crazy these guys are going, and two, to present Peter as a big time face.
My second bad is going to be the character of Roger. And it feels like Roger is going to be the main character and Peter is going to be the secondary guy. Now, I called you a couple of weeks ago after, that's why I love that Darren picked this because I just recently watched it. But I called you a couple of weeks ago and I was like, Ronnie, why did Roger just lose his mind so fast? Like, I mean, if he would have just kept it together, I mean, this group would have been fine. Like I said, it feels like he's going to be the main character. You mentioned earlier that he's calming this other cop down. You know, he's a sensitive guy. He's trying to tell everybody it's gonna be okay. He's, you know, and
awful. Listen to the big guy.
And he wants to bail out of there, and he finally finds another guy, Peter, who wants to get out of there too. And
get it?
And they make
his friend's name's Peter.
Yeah,
I see what George Romero was doing.
There you go. That's why you're the best. And they get to the mall and they come up with a plan. They don't even get any rest. They sit there and they talk about it. Peter's like, Roger, there's a lot of stuff down there we could use. They're stealing TVs and stuff and bringing them back up to that apartment upstairs and watching newscasts. He's like, there's still a lot of stuff down there we could use. And they come up with the idea on the fly while Flyboy is asleep. And everything's going great. And the next day, they're like, now we got to block the entrance of the mall. We're going to get those trucks that are about a mile away. We're going to drive them down here and block the entrances of the mall so those hordes of zombies can't break through, or anybody else for that matter. And he just starts to lose it on like day 2.
I'm losing it.
And I don't. It just blows my mind, and I get it. You can't have everything go your way in a movie. Otherwise, there's no conflict. There's no, story. There's no resolve or whatever. You have to have some issues arise. But Roger going nuts so fast just really bothers me. And I felt like it was a great character that we didn't get to see enough of.
Yeah.
Like, why couldn't he go nuts during month 2 or month 3 of being locked in that mall, of doing nothing all the time? Let that time get to him. Don't do it on day 1 or day 2. But yeah, that's one of my bads, Ronnie, is the character of Roger.
What about that priest? He had one damn leg. I rewound it when Roger and Peter at that apartment building. He's down there reading the last rites. He's got one leg. You didn't even notice, did you?
I didn't even notice, but I'm not going to comment on it because I'm batting over against people with bad legs. Yeah, my next bad, and you kind of, hinted at it earlier, is the biker gang at the end. I love the idea in any zombie film or show that people is what you have to worry about. It's, zombies are secondary, but I felt like these guys didn't really have a plan. Like they came in there to just goof off. It felt like they weren't really stealing anything of value. They weren't after food. They weren't starving. Like, if you tell me, hey, we're starving, or we're very thirsty, or just whatever. But no, they came in there
just messed up.
They came in there goofing off. They had one character, I think it wasn't Tom Savini. One character had a big mallet hammer, like a clown hammer, and was just hitting zombies in the breadbasket with it.
Loved it.
And I tweeted Darren, I tweeted you that I think we should get a television show about this biker gang. I really do think it would work, that they're good guys and they go around and they clean up towns and they help people, and then they eventually lose it. And then, we get kind of a Thing prequel where it ends where this movie, ends or whatever. But yeah, the biker gang, I think if you just give them a motive, or you give them a reason to want to break into that mall, because the reason they do it, there is no reason.
Just to tear it up and take stuff.
Just to vandalize it is all it was. I mean, they're in there stealing jewelry and stuff. I mean, it's pretty stupid.
My first bad, and you're going to disagree, it's too damn long and slow. At times in this movie, it feels like what Costanza was talking about. We're watching them read, we're watching them sleep. It takes 4 hours for them just to go get 2 trucks to block off the entranceways. And then we're sitting there watching Flyboy and Fran in the bed. They're just naked, not doing anything. And you don't know how long the movie's taking place over. You try to gauge it by her because she says early in the movie she's pregnant. And of course, Peter, being the hero that he is, you want me to end it for her? I mean, they don't even ask her. You just ask Flyboy. You want me to abort it? I know how. But
Well, that was back in the good old days when it was just up to one person.
It drug on in certain parts. I think you can cut 30 minutes out of this movie and it flies by. And look, I understand this is my hang up. This is my complaint. This is my ADD and dyslexia kicking in because I want instantaneous action. Move on to the next thing. Move on to the next thing. Microwave TV. The smarter horror fan can sit there and let everything play out and simmer before it explodes. But I just feel that the movie drags and it's too long.
Can I make a counter argument?
Yes, absolutely.
So the scene you get where nothing's going on, Ronnie, of Peter making them dinner, of Peter shooting guns, playing around, of them ice skating, of Fran shopping, of Flyboy.
10 minutes of the bikers hitting the zombies with pies.
Well, I'm just talking about them alone in the mall. I like to think that that's building up tension between all the characters because they're like, what's next? And is this really the life we want to live? Because like you said, as a viewer, there's nothing going on here. They realize they're safe in that mall, but it's like being in an underground bunker. We're just here. We're not doing anything, and tension builds between Fran and Flyboy, even though they're together. Like she clearly can't stand him and he clearly can't stand her. And then you got Peter, man, who's off to the side. He's trying to keep everything together. They're turning on the TV. They're not getting any kind of signal, nothing on the radio or anything. And it's just, it builds that. What are we doing? Is it time to go somewhere else? Is it time to just go up in the sky and see what is going on out there? Because we're miserable in here. So that's how I look at all those scenes of like nothingness going on in the mall.
My last bad is at the very beginning of it, the pointless shots at rednecks they're taking for some reason. They're flying over a rural area where you can see there's groups of people out in the woods hunting the zombies and shooting them and piling them up and burning them. And one of them makes the comment, "Oh, those rednecks are probably loving it." The rednecks are the best line of defense you're going to have in a zombie apocalypse, especially when it's a slow-moving zombie apocalypse, because they're the expert hunters. They're the sharpshooters in the woods that would be able to clear out an area. I guarantee that if a zombie apocalypse ever happened, Blake, we'd be sitting pretty here, unless we were just stupid, because they'd wipe them all out in no time, us included.
Hit a little too close to home for you.
Too close to home that they would poke fun at the rednecks when I think the rednecks are probably still alive at the end of this movie, and these guys are dead and heading to God knows where. If they were smart, they would have landed the helicopter right there with those people. They were eating hot dogs and drinking beer and
coffee
and coffee and having a great time. They were making a day out of it. I guarantee all of them went to bed that night and didn't even lock the damn door, because that's how much they cleared that area out. I'm just saying. I thought it was unnecessary. And plus, there's not real rednecks in Ohio or Pennsylvania. I know it was filmed wherever this was filmed. There's not real rednecks there. Get out of here. So, yeah, that was my other one. Now, time to move on to The Ugly, Blake. So, of course, anybody that's ever watched a YouTube video, you probably knew what the good and the bad was going to be of us talking about this movie. The Ugly is where we choose the ugliest human being in this movie. So, Blake, fire away.
It's going to be the goofy cop at the beginning, Ronnie, who's hanging out with Rose and chewing the gum. He's got curly hair, the stupid police hat. He's going to be my ugliest human in the movie Dawn of the Dead.
That's the one that asked for cigarettes?
Yes.
I've got two, okay? I've got a 1A and a 1B. The ugliest alive human in this movie is Tom Savini. He's ugly.
And that's in the real world, too, not just the movie.
Oh, yeah. That's, in real life right now, he's still ugly. Tom Savini's ugly. His karate's terrible. There was some bad karate in this movie, too. Peter had some bad karate. The bikers had some bad karate. It looked like me trying to do karate. But, I guess the next one would be when Roger turned into a zombie. He looked like a shrunken head from Beetlejuice when he came out from underneath that cover. It was the best. He was just like frowning. I'm going to try not to come back. Okay. All right, dude. Good.
So I didn't know we could pick a zombie in this. So I'm gonna go.
We got no rules.
I'm gonna go Flyboy, Ronnie.
Yes, he's ugly too.
But I will say this: Flyboy has one of the best zombie walks I've ever seen because he's like a pro wrestler. He's selling his injuries, Ronnie. Like his messed up hand, still holding on to the gun, his ankle that's been turned around, just dragging his foot. And then you got Peter's line. You know, you mentioned earlier, Flyboy's the one that leads the zombies to the secret wall they built. But Peter's line earlier in the film is these zombies keep coming back to the mall because it's a place of importance to them. It's where they came when they're alive, which explains why Flyboy goes straight to that secret stairwell.
Yeah, I mean, I do like that they gave them memories and stuff like that. So light or something
smell.
like that. Yeah, the smell. Ooh, before we go,
hey, you know what's really bothering me that you've messed up on episode 1? You didn't change the little column from the bad to the ugly real quick. Can you move that down? Thank you.
boom, you should have said something.
We will get that fixed.
We'll get that fixed before the next episode. But did they show the ice rink earlier in the movie and I just missed it? I see the ice rink at the end of the movie, but did they not? Did they show the ice rink at the beginning of the movie and I missed it?
Yeah, they did.
They should have been played on that ice. One of the coolest things in this movie, too, is when Roger does the slide all the way down the escalators. That was pretty awesome.
Yeah, there was a lot of good stuff like that. Like Peter and Roger cheering on Flyboy as Flyboy makes a run for it around the slow walking zombies while he's carrying the manual of where everything is in the mall. I mean, there was a couple of compilations like that in this movie that I really enjoyed. I love this movie, Ronnie. I love it. I mean, it depends on what day of the week you ask me. I think Darren put up a poll the other day about. He put up a Peter North poll on Twitter about zombie movies, and like seriously, it could go back and forth with me between Dawn of the Dead, 78, and Return of the Living Dead. It really could.
It doesn't with me. Return of the Living Dead is my favorite zombie movie. One thing before we go, I never noticed because I never paid attention how much Sarah Polley, the blonde from the Dawn of the Dead remake, in the face looks a lot like Fran. So they went out. Zack Snyder went out and found somebody facially that looked a lot like the chick from the original Dawn of the Dead. So I thought that was pretty cool. So there you go. All right. So that's it for the first ever episode of The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Blake, what'd you think?
I liked it. I like this little gimmick you come up with. It's basically what every other channel does. We just gave it our own name, but I like it. And, we spent 50 minutes on this one, I think just because it's a good movie, but I don't think most of these good, bad, ugly reviews will go this long.
No.
I probably carried this one a little longer than it should have just because I enjoy it so much.
So for every Patreon that we have, for every Grumpy Goat member that we have, thank you for supporting the channel, and we hope you enjoyed this video. Anything else, Blake?
Yeah, if you guys are wondering why you're called Grumpy Goat, Google Jamie Lee Curtis, Grumpy Goat, and Ronnie's name may pop up.